All right, right now I'm in the middle of recording voiceover for a video slash podcast slash interview slash long form online internet video content. And I thought, hey, this is something kind of cool, right? Um, so let's give this a shot. You can kind of hear the voiceover from the phone's perspective, or whatever. All right. It was a darker, more intense experience than anything Disney had ever done, making it a memorable ride for thrill seekers. But despite its popularity, Alien Encounter was eventually replaced by Stitch's Great Escape, which lightened things up with humor instead of horror. Now let's dive into the creative minds of the parody show inspired by this cult classic attraction. All right, so there's that. I've never recorded myself doing VO before, or when I do these kind of like silly, intense voices and all that. And so I'm going to be seeing that for the first time when I play back this video, just like you are. All right, let's do a little playback here. It was a darker, more intense experience than anything Disney had ever done, making it a memorable ride for thrill seekers. But despite its popularity, Alien Encounter was eventually replaced by Stitch's Great Escape, which lightened things up with humor instead of horror. Now let's dive into the creative minds of the parody show inspired by this cult classic attraction. All right, there it is. So I'm going to edit it, cut out dead space. There's a few flubs. So I'll edit that together, and then I'll take all that audio and I'll run it through this thing called Alphonic that compresses audio. And compressing audio, for most people that don't know it, it just kind of makes it so there's not stuff that's really loud and really low. It kind of brings everything to the middle. It also cuts out background noises or weird stuff like that. And it just makes everything more pleasurable to hear with the voiceover. So this is going to be in the intro of an upcoming episode of the Dark Theme Park Show, where I interview the creators of the Alien Encounter parody show. So that's what this is. So I put together a little like history of the attraction in case some viewers / listeners of that episode are unfamiliar with it, because I'm a really considerate person. This is how I record. So this right here is a pop filter. And when you say words that start with letter P and a few other words, maybe B, you blow out air out of your mouth, and that will blow in the microphone, and then it'll sound crappy. So this kind of stops that from happening, and then, catches the air here, and just the beautiful sound of my voice makes it to the microphone here. And then it's a great listening experience for everyone. Lastly, here's the script I was reading. It's always good to not like record voiceover with a script that's like the first time that you're saying it out loud, because obviously saying something out loud and reading it in the brain, it just takes a moment, and plus you're like comprehending it. Sometimes if I have a lot to do, I'll do like a run through without recording it, and then I'll space it out on how I want to emphasize each word, so that I already know like immediate, just by looking, how I want to emphasize. But in this case, I kind of have to read it, comprehend it, and decide to do that in real time, which can cause you to flub or emphasize the wrong words. So you have to say the line again or whatever. But that's kind of my process of doing that. In one way or another, I've been doing this kind of VO for podcasting specifically since I started podcasting back in 2006. So, wow, almost 20 years, 19 years of doing this. And so over that, I've kind of developed like a voice where I kind of, emphasize certain words and take on a little bit of a persona, if you will. That's an exaggeration of myself. It's not like a performance. I'm not pretending to be anyone but myself. But the other part of it is, it is very challenging to produce content with your own voice and not be critical of how you sound, because number one, what we hear in our ears is not at all what everyone else hears. So when it's recorded, we're like, who is that? I sound like that. And then it's like, that's how I say words. And that, it's pretty hard to not be like very critical of yourself in those moments. Now, I have probably produced, I don't even know, I'll just honestly say hundreds of podcast episodes in the past 19 years. I don't think I've hit thousands, but definitely hundreds. And, I've had to, get over that. Which, when I was producing weekly podcasts, that came a lot easier than now we do podcast episodes sporadically. So, you kind of have to go through it again and get used to getting by your voice. Also got a lot of criticism when the podcast was popping off weekly, of people of my voice. People didn't like my voice or how I talked, or that I thought things were funny, even though we were talking about spooky, macabre topics. So I'd laugh a lot, which I probably do in these vlogs too. But also, I have like this weird like speech impediment thing, or like some breathing thing, that sometimes after I say a lot, I'll just kind of go or something like that, and it's completely unintentional. And people mistake that for me like doing nervous laughter, like I can't stand for silence or something like that. And it's actually something that I actually have no idea that I'm doing when I'm doing it. It's almost impossible for me to control. Now, I'm sure it is impossible. I'm sure it is possible in a way that I don't know how to fix. I'm no speech expert or whatever. I don't know. But for now, especially since it's stuff that I can edit out in these VO things, so it's not really a big deal right now. But I don't know, might be something I look into. But I am almost 50 years old, and I've been talking this way my whole life, so it's going to be challenging to change, that's for sure, but nothing's impossible. I've had to make some incredible changes in like the past year of many different things. And even though it's challenging, I am able to do it. So anything's possible, I guess. But do I really want to do it? I don't know. Do I have to do it? I don't know. Probably. Because I want to keep making a lot more content. And, ultimately, if people just don't like the sound of my voice and how I choose to communicate, then they're not going to like my content, and that's fine. But I still want to know that I took the time and effort to make something that I'm proud of when I create content. I'm not, is this video the same? No, I mean, I'm trying to do these kind of off the cuff, random vlogs. I'm trying to do it every day, but I don't have something to say every day. And I don't want to just waste time or waste everyone's time. But So I'm trying to do it when I have a thought and just don't second guess it. Just pick up the phone and just record it. Like today, I was like, oh, I'm recording this voiceover. I should probably, maybe I can document that and make that into a little mini vlog. So, anywho, if you want to hear or see the end result of this, then check out the Dark Theme Park Show episode, which should be up soon. Maybe it's already out by the time you're hearing this. Maybe.